So one of the things that I talk about all the time on this channel, and if you've been around on this channel for a while and you've watched several of my videos, you probably know this, but one thing that I'm really big on is PT, getting physically ready for the military. But is your PT score really important in the military? Like what kind of positives can come from this? Does it really even matter? So obviously you have to have a passing PT score to actually be in the Army, which the passing PT score right now for the current APFT is 180 or 60 points in each category or so, which is just barely passing. You know, you can do that fairly easily. Some of you guys are probably working your way to get there, but you know, if you're trying to really push it, if you're really trying to get that 300 and max out the PT test, or the 270, if you guys did not know, if you get a 90 90 90 in each event or better, which is turns out to be a 270 for your PT score, you actually get to wear like this little PT badge, and it just kind of shows that you're good at PT and whatnot. So obviously if you get a 300, you can do that. When it comes to you guys really trying to push to increase your PT score, you know, a lot of people will do really well at basic training. Their PT score is going to be great. By the end of basic training, they're going to do great. And then once they get done with that, they're going to go to AIT. Their PT score might drop a little bit. Some people's might improve. Mine improved once I got to AIT because that's kind of, you know, me. If you guys know who I am, like I just want to improve my PT score all the time. And then after AIT, a lot of soldiers will get to their units and their PT score will kind of go down a little bit. But there's going to be a few people who will maintain their high PT scores, who will increase their PT scores, who will continually get better, get faster, be able to do more push-ups, be able to do more sit-ups, and they will just, you know, maintain a high PT score. So is this actually beneficial for your military career? And the answer to that, in my opinion, is yes. I think it is very, very beneficial for you to have a high PT score because number one, it is one of the things that makes you a soldier. You know, physical fitness is like a characteristic of a soldier. If you're not physically fit, you're not a soldier, and you'll get kicked out of the military for that. So you have to be physically fit, but really taking kind of pride in you actually being fit and actually being able to do your job really well, especially for those of you who are in combat MOS. This is going to be even more important for you because I believe, and a lot of other people in the military believe, that if you are a person that has a higher PT score, you are more likely to actually kind of be a more reliable soldier, a harder working soldier, you know, a more resilient soldier, because it is actually difficult. It is mentally difficult. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes resiliency to actually become physically fit. You know, people don't just get 300s on their PT test just because they just walk up there one day, they woke up and they were just like, I'm just going to do 300 today. That doesn't really happen. It takes a lot of work to actually get to the point where you can run 2 miles in under 13 minutes. It takes a lot of, you know, time and effort to be able to do at least, you know, for my age group, 75 push-ups or 80 sit-ups. So you can't just really do that without actually putting in the work to do it. And so what happens is when you go from unit to unit, whenever you see people, there's a few things that people will judge you on. You know, they'll judge you a book by its cover. It is just gonna happen. That's kind of how you do it. One of the times that you're gonna be judged really is whenever you're in your uniform. People are going to look at you. Maybe they're going to see if you have your combat action badge, if you have your airborne badge, if you they're going to be looking at your tabs. You know, do you have a ranger tab? Do you have an airborne tab? Are you a sapper? You know, they're going to be looking at you on the surface of all these things, kind of just judging you, seeing what you've done. And basically the more stuff you have, just the more they're going to look at you with a little bit of respect, right? And it's going to be the same way with your PT score. There's going to be a lot of opportunities that are going to be afforded to people who have higher PT scores. I remember whenever I was at AIT, there was a situation where anybody who had above a 300 for the PT test, they were basically afforded this one opportunity. I was a part of that, so I was afforded that opportunity. And if you had a 299 on your PT score, you weren't going to be given that opportunity. So your PT score is going to be big whenever it comes to things like that. There's going to be times when possibly there's going to be some school position slots that have opened up. So maybe your unit has, you know, 3 airborne slots. And so there's 3 people that they can send to airborne school. And so one of the things that might actually happen, like legit, is the 3 people with the highest PT score, they're going to ask those people first if they want to go to airborne school, or if you want to have a 300, or if you are one of those higher PT score people, they're going to have to basically kind of compete for it. So if you don't have a high PT score, you're not going to be competitive for a lot of these things. And then another thing that's competitive with the military is ranking up. Your PT score is kind of a grading factor on that. So whenever you're trying to become an NCO, not so much for the lower enlisted, but when you're trying to become an NCO, an E5 or higher, your PT score is going to come into play. Basically, to summarize it all, you kind of have like a resume in the Army, and whenever you're trying to get promoted, you will basically submit a resume for promotion. You'll go to this board, you'll get interviewed and all this stuff, and on that is going to be your PT score. So if you're an NCO and you're trying, or if you're trying to become an NCO and you are barely passing, maybe you have like a 200, a 220, a 240, that's gonna be looked at like, you know, what are you doing? You're supposed to be leading soldiers. Definitely, if you're wanting to get promoted farther in the military, you're really gonna want to increase your PT score and maintain a high level of physical fitness. Another thing that's kind of beneficial for this is just respect of other soldiers. I've talked about this, you know, a few times on my channel. Personally, for me, I think this is huge for me. You know, whenever I see somebody and they're barely passing the PT test, obviously, if people are just joining, like a lot of you are just joining and you're struggling to pass the PT test, maybe you can't pass the PT test, that's perfectly fine. But for people who've been in for a while, if I see people who are super lazy, or this really ticks me off whenever people will do the PT test and they will stop at the minimum. So let's say the minimum for their age group is 42 push-ups, and they can do more than 42 push-ups. Maybe they can do 50 push-ups. But what they'll do is they'll do 42 push-ups and then stop because they did the minimum. That is kind of a pet peeve for me. It's a pet peeve for a lot of other people. A lot of people in leadership positions, they will see that and look at you basically like you're lazy, and they don't want you to be a part of whatever good thing is going on. So in order to be a better soldier, you need to be physically fit. In order to gain the respect of other soldiers around you, of your superiors, you need to be physically fit. In order to help yourself get promoted faster, you need to be physically fit. In order to open yourself up for different opportunities, possibly like airborne school or air assault school, where it might not be afforded to you if you have a lower PT score, you need to be physically fit for that. And then in general, the military life, the military experience that you're gonna be having is gonna be a little bit easier the more fit you are. Whenever you're doing those 12-mile ruck marches, whenever you're doing those 6-mile company runs or 6-mile battalion runs or whatever, and you're just running, it's gonna be a little bit easier if you're doing a little bit of running on your own time. So is your PT score actually important in the Army? In my opinion, and I think a lot of other people's opinion in the military, yes, it is important. Of course, there's gonna be people who will say that, you know, for whatever job you have to do, you don't have to be super physically fit, but it is always, 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 always a positive to have a good PT score. If you wanna know what a good PT score is, I made a video on what really a good PT score is and what the Army considers a good PT score. But it's always a positive to have a good PT score. But if you're barely passing or whatever, you know, for some NCOs, maybe they don't have a high PT score, so they don't really care about your PT score. But for the most part, for leaders in the military, they should be setting examples for, you know, what a soldier should look like. So the NCOs need to be setting examples, officers need to be setting examples, and if you're trying to rank up to be some of those positions, if you're trying to, you know, get different opportunities and things like that, you need to be showing them that you're willing to put in the work. And one of the ways that you can do that is by putting in the work after hours, besides just doing the PT in the morning, actually going to the gym and actually lifting a little bit of weights, doing a little bit of HIIT training, doing, you know, just a little bit of whatever, but to get in better shape outside of the normal PT, that's going to really reflect in a positive light on you. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. That would be awesome. If you want to check out some more videos, hit that subscribe button. That would be even better. If you guys are not following me on Instagram and Snapchat, social media links are right here. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you later.